Greetings everyone. Today we have with us Mr. Nitish Jain, President of SP Jain School of Global Management. In the last 15 years, as a president of the school, Nitish Sir has spearheaded a visionary goal to create a school that is recognized all over the world for its innovative and disruptive style of education. Under Mr. Nitish's leadership, SP Jain is credited with several pioneering initiatives and has set several benchmarks in global business education, including a multi-city learning model that has seen its students travel to no less than 3 countries as a part of their undergraduate education. I would like to thank Mr. Nitish for being a part of this initiative, Thoughtful Leaders. Thank you, sir, for being a part of this. So, on that note, we'd like to move on with the first question. That is, you have held key positions at SP Jain School of Global Management. So, what is that thing about the education sector that has kept you connected to this field in general?
I think there's nothing more pleasing for me than to meet one of my alums today, because he or she is well-groomed, very successful, and it gives me great pride to see that a product of our school is now doing so well. So to answer your question, I think it's just, igniting young minds and making them successful that is so thrilling, and it keeps me going every day.
That's great, sir. So that's really wonderful, sir. On that note, we'd like to move on to the next question, which is, being the president of SP Jain School of Global Management, how do you strategize about the key programs and plans for marketing and administration of your school?
In our case, it's actually very simple, because all we focus on are tomorrow's jobs that we train our students for today. And education, for most people, I won't say for everyone, but for a lot of people, is about getting a job, about doing well, making a career. And these are things that we focus on in our school. So we have a lot of connection with the industry to understand what are they looking for in terms of jobs. And it's changed over the years. And so how do we prepare our students to covet these, not just a job, but a top job, a value-added job? This is what we focus on as a school. And to answer your question, how do we do it? We do it just by remaining very connected with the industry. I personally meet a lot of people from the industry very frequently. Then we have a whole team of 10 people who do nothing but maintain a connect with the industry. We call them to our school to deliver guest lectures. We meet them, during these guest lectures and understand in more detail. So this is something that we do very passionately.
Great, sir. That's really wonderful. So, that the industry keeps on changing and evolving, and there are new things that the student should be aware of to be industry ready. So what are the key factors, or how do you essentially go about designing the curriculum of SP Jain School of Global Management to ensure that the students are industry ready, and the best practices of industry are followed?
So, as I mentioned before, we maintain a very close connect with the industry. And some of the things that we've learned is that no longer do companies focus on knowledge, because they feel knowledge can be learned very easily. Even if you have a smartphone, you can get a lot of the knowledge, very quickly and painlessly. But what they're looking for is, how do you assimilate this knowledge? How do you think critically to analyze some of the outcomes? How do you use data to make sensible decisions by connecting various data points? How do you synthesize this, not just analyze, but also synthesize? So what can you actually do for the company to take it forward? And today it's all about new thinking. It's about the creative thinking. This is what companies are looking for. and this is embedded in our curriculum, in every course. The focus is the development of skills. And one important skill that I forgot to speak about is communication skills. This is so very important in today's day and age. When computers are doing many of the back end stuff, you need humans to actually connect with other humans for a whole host of business applications.
That's great, sir. That's wonderful to hear. So on that note, I'd like to move on to our next question, which is, you are already a pioneer in the global business education, right? SPGen School of Global Management has made a place for itself in the industry. So what is the next milestone that you'd like to achieve? Essentially, I would like to know, what do you think should be SPGen School of Global Management's top priority over next 10 years?
So, from a business school, Ishita, what we're doing is moving to a technology-led business school, because technology is driving every sector. And I think how our students are familiar with not just the technology, but as applied to business. So when we move to a technology-led business school, we're preparing for the future. And our new tagline is lead tomorrow. So when you lead tomorrow, naturally you would have to be very conversant with technology, but applying these technologies to business applications. And there's so many new ways to do it. So it's a very, very exciting time.
Wonderful, sir. So that's really wonderful to hear, sir. On that note, I'd like to move on to our next question, which is, there's a lot of information available all over the internet, and students are always digging for information regarding colleges and, in which colleges they should essentially take in admissions, and, what makes a college stand apart from the other institutes, right? So what would you like the students to know about SPGen School of Global Management that they may not be knowing, and, what is its USP?
I think SPGen is razor sharp, and I like to repeat, razor sharp in developing relevant skills for modern day companies to recruit students. And although this may sound that what all universities do, I don't think other universities move as quickly and are as nimble as SPGen. They're very quick to catch on to what are companies really looking for. And we changed the curriculum even during the course of 1 year. And I think this is what has enabled our students to get great jobs when they graduate. Our MBAs actually get 3 times the salary as compared to their pre-MBA salary. And this is all done within a space of 12 months. This would not have been possible if we didn't have that razor sharp focus on value-added jobs.
Wonderful, sir. That's really great to hear. On that note, I'd like to move on to our next question, which is, given the current situation, it's a very difficult situation both for the institute and the students. So how is SPGen School of Global Management essentially ensuring that students are not essentially missing out on the learning, and then, that they are industry ready when they graduate from your school?
Yeah, so, the pandemic cannot stop learning. I think learning is to go on despite the troubled situation that the world is facing today. And you know what? I think it's the silver lining. I won't say it's a good thing, but it's a silver lining that students learn how to deal with adversity. I mean, life is never a bed of roses, and we all need to learn how to deal with adversity. Adversity happens, you can't prevent it, but dealing with adversity with a positive mindset is what differentiates winners from everyone else. And so, it's a blessing in disguise. I wouldn't say a blessing, but it's a silver lining of the current situation. And I think how we're dealing with the situation at SPGen is we have some of the finest online delivery technology. Um, we call it ELO, Engaged Learning Online. You can YouTube SP Jain ELO and find out more about this. It's definitely by far the best technology to deliver online learning. And other universities use Zoom or Microsoft Teams or something like that. That's designed for office meetings. But when you look at a 50-person classroom, with you need special technology where a professor can actually make eye contact with every one of his students sitting in the classroom. And it also calls for a different style of teaching. We call it the lab technique. And with this lab technique, our faculty are able to engage students much more effectively because they learn by doing as opposed to learn by listening. And this completely transforms the learning experience. So I think we've done wonderfully well in this pandemic.
That's definitely true, sir. To be very honest, I haven't also heard about ELO. I would definitely like to know more about it and go on the internet and search about it. On that note, I would like to move on to our last question, which is, any suggestions that you'd like to give the current youth and the aspiring students?
So at this point, Ishita, I think of a quote. I don't know who authored it, but I think it's a very interesting quote. And it says, education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to people who prepare for it today. And, when you look at the future, and as I said, the future is led by technology, it's really the best time to be young because there's so many job opportunities. But the problem today is that you can't learn yesterday's skills and think you can participate in the future. You need to learn tomorrow's skills to participate in tomorrow. But the learning takes place today for tomorrow. And I think this is a very simple, easy to understand message. And there is a huge bifurcation between those with relevant skills who get good, very high value-added jobs with great salaries, and then those who don't have these skills because computers are doing that. And when a computer can do it, there's nobody who's willing to pay any money for it. So there's a segregation of skills that is causing this difference in the value-added jobs, because you go to companies, they'll say, I can't find the right talent, and then there's so much of unemployment. It's because there is a mismatch in the sort of skills companies are looking for.
True, sir. That was my last question, sir, and it was wonderful interacting with you. And I would really thank you for your time, and I'm sorry if there were any hiccups in general.